What's poppin', everybody? Welcome to Tom and Joey Entertainment, a.k.a. TJENT. This is Real Talk with Tom and Joey, episode 3, numero tres this week.
We're on Spanish.
We're going Spanish every week. We'll see how long my Spanish knowledge extends, number-wise. And speak of the Spanish Devil this week. The Spanish Devil. That actually fits, too.
Does it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because, I have Colombian Devil.
Oh.
We'll go with the Colombian Devil.
they're the same thing though, right? In your
Maybe,
eyes? Yeah.
maybe,
You're right.
maybe. I was thinking the language Spanish, not like the ethnicity of Spanish, like from Spain. More that the language of Spanish.
Yeah, but Spain Spanish is fucked.
Yeah. Well, do they even?
It's different.
Yeah, because it's different from like the Spanish they speak in
Latin
Mexico
America.
and Latin America rather than Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Spanish. There
They
you go.
They speak it over.
They
in
speak
Spanish.
in Spanish. Tom, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
That's all you get.
Doing well.
Just
a good.
Just a good old fashioned good.
Your week was good.
Yeah.
You had a really tough week this week, didn't you?
Yeah, I was puppy sitting.
Yeah.
Which was the pretty great job.
Big.
Yeah. Seven.
One of the hardest jobs
Bernese
you could ever
Mountain
do.
Dog puppy. That was pretty damn adorable.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We'll provide a picture for you right here.
Yeah.
This is the adorable puppy that
Yeah.
time. Because you took a picture, right? Yeah, you posted
Yeah.
it on Instagram. That's
Yeah.
right. You can see that. Instagram.com/THazelwood7.
Yes.
There you go.
Hazelwood 7.
Yes. Oh,
I mean, it's either
It's
T. Hazelwood or Hazelwood.
as long as you spell it right, you get it right.
Yeah.
There you go. Puppy sitting. I didn't have the greatest week on Thursday. I had like a little. It was like right after lunch while I was still at work. I had like a stomach issue and like I think it was like I ate something.
Probably food poisoning.
Maybe like minor food poisoning. But it was funny because I was telling you this yesterday. One of the hardest things, or one of the most like difficult things I had to do was try to explain to my boss in an email that I was on the brink of blown chunks.
Yeah.
But then not explicitly saying that I was going to blow chunks all over
I'm
the
about
office.
to throw up all over your office, but I need to tell you this in a professional way that doesn't make me sound like a dick.
Yeah, exactly. So I formulated it in the email. I said, it's not getting any better, and I feel like as though I'm going to get more sick,
Yeah.
as you can imagine, a situation that I would like to avoid in the office.
Right.
So it was definitely the best way I could put it, but definitely not a great way to end the week. That was on Thursday, but I feel a lot better today.
Yeah. Well, and Splatoon came out Friday. So.
Yes, and I've been playing a massive amount of Splatooning all over that
everywhere.
Nintendoverse. Lots of fun. It's going to be a good week, and this is going to be a good episode, too.
I would hope so.
I have a good feeling about this episode.
Are we ever going to have an intro where we say this episode's going to be really, really shitty?
Maybe someday,
Maybe.
when we just know for sure. It's just like, we're not have confidence in this episode at all.
We didn't put any time or effort.
Yeah.
So this one's going to kind of suck.
This one's going to be pretty shitty. So, as you known from the last episode, I have this little monologue. I haven't gotten it down yet,
Yep.
but I'm getting close. And it's going to sound more fluent this time. Although I'm still going to be reading it. It's not going to sound like I'm reading it.
Whoa.
So if you're listening to us on iTunes,
Well, no one would know. If you listen to it on iTunes, no one would know if you're reading it or not. Anyway,
yeah, exactly.
So
And that's
for
how
those people,
Yeah.
you're not reading it.
Yeah, there you go.
Boom.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Real Talk with Tom and Joey. Each and every week, Tom and I both bring 2 random topics of discussion to the table for your entertainment while, most importantly, keeping it real. If you enjoy what we do, you can head over to patreon.com/TJENT, where you can throw us a few bucks of support and get the show early, along with some other sick rewards, such as suggesting a topic, if you so please, at $5. That seems to be a hot commodity right now. Got a whole 2 patrons. It's on
God.
fire.
Oof.
Man, we cannot get enough. If you don't have any bucks to throw, it's all good in the hood. You can tune in every single weekday here on youtube.com/TJENT, where at noon Eastern Standard Time we will break up each weekly episode day by day, topic by topic, until the entire episode goes up on Friday as one big video. And if you don't want to watch the videos, we understand.
No big deal.
People got places to be, things to do, places to see.
Don't want to look at us?
Yeah. You want to listen to us on the go, you totally can. Just go on iTunes, search Real Talk with Tom and Joey, or any combination of that didn't make any sense, but you know what I mean.
I think I got it.
Real Joey Tom
what you're
Talk
saying
with.
is don't put our names or Real Talk in iTunes and you'll find it.
Yes.
That's what I got from your statement.
Yeah.
Bingo.
If you know our logo, you should be able to find us pretty easily. Give us a subscribe on there. Give us a review.
Yep.
That'd be huge.
Spam it.
Let us know what you think, even if it's a shitty review. Preferably not a shitty review.
Yeah. Not as we're getting started. If I'm being totally honest, that would be kind of lame.
Yeah, that
but
would
hey,
be.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Give us a shitty review, but with 5 stars.
Yeah, so like 5 stars, but then give
and
us
then
like.
rip us apart. Whatever. That's cool.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Because as long as we get the review, it really helps us out, gets us into more ears.
That's called compromising.
Yeah. It's a compromise. That's what we're all about here.
Yeah.
We're all about here. And as always, we're pro Orphis. So wherever
Yeah.
you want to stick those headphones, we'll still love you.
Yep.
And if you don't know,
Now you know.
now you know. There you go. It's getting better. It's getting more
Yeah.
fluent. Sooner or later, I'll just be able to roll it off with no teleprompter whatsoever.
Correcto.
So, for the first topic of the week, I'm going to go first this week,
All right.
since you went first this
So
week.
topic uno.
Topic uno. There you go. You beat it. You beat me to
Uh-huh.
it. My first topic has to do with retail and where we think the future of retail is headed. And I bring this topic up because as of June 16th, 2017, so this was about a month ago,
Yep.
Amazon bought Whole Foods for $13.7 billion. Billion dollars. That is a whole lot of money. And guess what they paid it in, Tom?
Paid it in
Sweet
convertible
cash.
bonds.
They paid it in cash. Cash.
Kind of.
Which is nuts.
Kind of.
Well, here's the nitty-gritty details. Amazon agreed to pay $42 a share in cash for the organic food chain Whole Foods, including the debt, a roughly 27% premium for the stock price. So, and then John Mackey, which is Whole Foods co-founder, will also stay on to continue to run the business, but it's pretty much just going to be Amazon Foods now.
Yeah.
And this is where I say and too much. We noticed that in the last recording, and I say and too. It's like almost my filler for
your
between
default.
sentences. Yeah, where I'm thinking. So I'm gonna try and correct that. We're all about improvements here.
Yes.
So pretty much the basic conversation that I wanted to have is where do we think retail is headed, and in terms of specifically with the grocery store type business,
Mhm.
where we think, because I think eventually that once drones are able to deliver products like Amazon wants them to, and if they're able to deliver groceries, that's going to significantly impact the retail business, because you got to think that the majority of retail stores at this point, especially with the numerous avenues online that you're able to buy products, the majority of the retail stores that will remain open will be grocery stores.
Yeah. Yeah. And clothing stores.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it. I think clothing will always be around because you want to try on, like, clothing is in apparel, shoes, fan shops, that sort of thing, because you want to try on what you buy. I think guys are a little bit less inclined to try stuff on because once you get, we have such, like, we don't have size 0, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4. It's just
Medium
small,
and
medium, large. Is it cotton? Because it might shrink a little bit. I
Yeah.
know that much.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
The extent of my clothing knowledge.
Yeah, and I mean sizes in general don't there is some parity, but it's not too bad.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I honestly am not too thrilled about Amazon buying Whole Foods. I think I don't know how much that's gonna pay off for them.
Yeah,
I know that they want to get into the food market, but the problem with Amazon is they have huge profitability concerns, and a lot of people don't understand. Like, it took them a while to turn over a profit 2 years in a row.
Mhm.
And even though their stock price was really high and people were like, oh, in the future it's going to pay off, Bezos likes spending dough.
Yeah.
And he is not shy at all when it comes to spending money. And at some point, something's going to bend and break. And to me, it's like, if you're spending all the money you're generating and you're not giving it to your shareholders, at some point they're going to get pissed off. And if something busts, and then all of a sudden they look at you and say, well, why the hell did you spend billions of dollars in this project when you didn't need to? I don't see that. I don't see that ending well.
Mhm. Yeah, and it was kind of weird. I saw one joke that somebody tweeted out of Jeff Bezos talking to Alexa. And he's like,
Yeah.
Alexa, buy me something from Whole Foods. And then
Yeah.
the quote says, Alexa, buying Whole Foods. And then it
Yeah.
was Bezos, oh shit.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. But I just think that this kind of goes into where retail store is headed.
Yeah.
Not even just grocery stores, because you got to think that clothing stores will probably be the last retail to
Go.
go.
If they do.
Yeah, if they
Which
do it all.
I doubt they will. Because electronics, I think, are like, there's no way that they stay around. Because we've already seen, like, Best Buy is going to go under in our lifetime for sure.
And the biggest benefit towards technology shopping online for technology, I think, is reviews.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, that's
when
a
you
good point.
when you look at a product, I mean, that's pretty much 95% of the reason behind me buying the actual product and making
Right.
that final push to actually like charge my card, put
Right.
in the cash to actually buy the product is the reviews, because you got to think that, especially on Amazon, when you see those products with 250 reviews, all 5 stars, or even like 2,500 reviews, all
Yeah,
5
yeah,
stars,
yeah.
you got to think, okay, not only is this product good, but people took the time out of their day to
To
review it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be even more so
Yeah.
better than the average product or the other products that you may be comparing to. And another thing, which would be a cool idea if certain stores were able to implement this, like Best Buy and what was the other one I thinking of? Like maybe even GameStop too, when they put, if they can put mini, I mean, obviously this would cost a lot of money, but I think it would be a benefit in the end if they were to put like mini, not even LCD screens, but maybe mini, like those things you see on stores that pass by where they have those graphics on the screen, maybe as like an advertisement to drivers driving across their business.
Oh, gotcha.
So on like the screen right below the product, they have like the product and maybe reviews.
yeah, well, some of them do it just with print.
Oh, just like with stickers and
It'll,
stuff.
it'll say like, oh, 4.4 on blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
And see,
And-
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I think, like I said before, I think when it comes to a person making that push and purchasing a product online, the biggest thing that's going to make them purchase it is going to be a positive
Yeah,
review.
because you do have people in the store that'll say like, "This is what I use."
Yeah.
And I mean that carries some weight, but yeah, I mean you have thousands of people who spent their own money for no reason,
Mm.
essentially, other than they wanted it. They wrote a review. If they say it's good, then I'm probably gonna believe them.
Yeah.
But electronics are so easy to get anywhere that you don't need to go anywhere to get them. But if you do, the chances of them having what you need are pretty low.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, we both built our own PCs. I got all my PC parts on Amazon.
Oh,
I
really?
tried to go to Best Buy and look for stuff, and there was not much that I was looking for specifically. But on Amazon, not only was it all there, but it was pretty cheap too. I mean, it wasn't like a crazy good deal, but it was definitely cheaper than what I would have paid if they had it at Best Buy or something like that. So
Mhm.
it's like I can get a TV from literally everywhere. Why would I spend time going around store to store to store unless you're looking for like a crazy good deal in one
Mhm.
store that they're not going to put online?
Yeah. And a lot more places are price matching now.
Yeah.
And that's another thing where it makes it so
yeah,
maybe
Best Buy does.
yeah, the specific store that you're going to doesn't even matter that much anymore.
Yeah.
And another thing, see, another and again. When what was I just gonna say? When you're purchasing a product, when it has to do with the review, what was I gonna say? I totally forgot. But another thing about with, what was it?
It's going to bug you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna bug me.
Well, regardless, for retail in general,
Mhm.
I think electronics are first. But the next to go, it's really tough. I honestly think that retail is going to get away from chains and just get to localized markets, because in our area we have a couple local stores like Cherry Republic. So
Mhm.
anyone that's not familiar with Traverse City, even though most of our listeners probably are,
Mhm.
we cherry capital of the world. That's our staple point.
Yeah,
Yada
yeah.
yada yada. Yeah, whatever. It's a huge selling point with local markets to put into food and advertising, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But there's also M22. It's just a road that a lot of people take to go surfing. It's a beautiful road. It's essentially just the brand identity of like surfing, kiteboarding, wakeboarding, blah blah blah. But they make clothing with the M22 road logo on it, and I don't see that business going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're just getting bigger and bigger.
Mhm.
So I think those localized retail markets that have like their brand is just associated with such a unique and kind of nostalgic and warm to your heart essence to it. I think those type of things will stay. So state pride or city pride or stuff that you can only have, I think that stuff will stay in retail locations
Mhm.
because it's a huge branding thing for them, and they might have online shops too, but it's still just a part of the town and people will go out of their way. And that's kind of Midwestern small town thinking, but I think that'll help. On the flip side though, bigger chains that just sell random stuff like Radio Shack or Best Buy, or I'm trying to think of even to some extent
Like
a
Target.
place like Target, they're gonna have to size down big time.
Oh yeah.
But there is, I mean, grocery stores to me are always going to be around, because I don't buy into the drone delivery system at all.
No?
I think it's a huge waste of time because you have a huge regulatory ladder to get through, because drones are already being regulated a lot more than people think. I know I know a couple of people that sold theirs because they can't fly it in a lot of different areas because the FCC is already, is it the FCC?
Yeah.
Yeah. The FCC is already saying, listen, you can't fly over here for privacy reasons, you can't fly over here for safety reasons, and you can't fly here because of like low flying planes or something like that. Like there's a billion different reasons what they come up with. I just can't imagine a world where drones are literally flying all around you at all times and the FCC's on board.
Yeah, you got to think that in order for, and by the way, I thought of what I was going to say earlier. Well, you got to think that if Amazon was going to make this push for drones to be delivering products, that they would have a plan in place in order to compromise or satisfy the regulations. So let's say for privacy reasons, maybe they don't include a camera with the drones. So maybe they are mandatory where the drones aren't programmed by a camera, but rather than programmed by a camera, they're programmed more as more like a autopilot GPS type thing.
But then what about package security?
What do you mean? Like,
well, I see a drone with a package, it crashes and falls, I take the package and run.
yeah, I mean, that's definitely because they would have to perfect it to the point where they would have no lack of confidence in terms of a drone crashing or a drone being low enough for something or someone to shoot it down. Because you got to think that if they were going to make this push, the drones would not be in any visible, like they would be as high as they possibly could go
Right.
of their threshold, and then hopefully be out of the visibility of a person standing on the ground. And with the privacy reasons, to maybe not include the camera, like I said, and then have that high enough so the point where you can't shoot it down, you can't see it, you can't obviously you can't hear it because those things are it's quiet as shit now. It's ridiculous, but it's definitely interesting. I think they would have a plan in place in order to implement it and go.
I know what I would do.
Compromise on the FCC regulations. What?
I would take the delivery trucks that already exist.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say like UPS or USPS or FedEx, whatever. Put all the drones in those trucks. Have the driver hit a region.
Yeah,
go
hit
to
like
the
a
middle of
location
it,
and they all
and
launch.
then just open up the back
Yeah.
like a flock of doves.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, I laugh, but like in all reality, I think that's actually a pretty good compromise.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they're traveling from a distribution center. It's just like, okay, you basically did the job of going door to door on this entire street in like 2 seconds.
And not to mention, you think about the environmental benefits that it provides, because not only do you not have trucks driving to each individual location and wasting all that gas and emitting all that exhaust into the air, but then you also have maybe planes not making as many trips with packages as they once would.
Maybe.
But what I was going to say earlier has to do with more convenience stores, because you got to think when we were talking about building our own PC, one of the websites that we used was, okay, pick out the product that you want, and then we'll find the best price on whatever website it is.
Yeah.
And you got to think that places like that and websites like that and businesses like that are going to become more popular. And really, Amazon is just a glorified version of that, because you go to Amazon, I mean, it's almost a running joke now that literally anything you want, you can go on Amazon and it'll have it no matter what it is.
And there's different sellers too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because anybody can sell anything on Amazon now. It's almost like
you
a hybrid between eBay and Walmart almost.
And it's like the way Amazon works is you own a store within Amazon, and you can literally find your own. I guess distributor is a good way to say. So say I find a distributor or a manufacturer. That's a better word. If I find a manufacturer that makes a certain product in like India, I can buy all their stock and then sell it on Amazon, and I can just run my own Amazon business. And I know people that do that, and some of them can do pretty well, but that's still technically retail. I just think that retail locations, it's nuts to think retail locations going under just because I'm thinking in my head, what are we gonna put in them?
Because you got to think of what I mean. You look
Offices?
Yeah, probably
Most likely.
You got to think that what do you go? Because on an average day, I use retail pretty much only for food. But another thing that I like to use retail for is that has to do with technology really is video games, because you got to think with video games, if you buy them online, you can send them back. Let's say if you want to trade in games, because I enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
I always like to keep my collection low and get rid of stuff that I know I'm not going to play.
I am the complete opposite.
Yes.
Different topic for a different day.
Correct. But that's another benefit where retail stores come in, because instead of, a GameStop's right next to where I work. So
Yeah.
instead of sending it in, packaging it up,
Yeah, because that's
paying-
really annoying.
paying for the shipping, and then not only doing all of that, but then shipping it,
Yeah.
waiting for it to be registered, and maybe something happens. Like, I've had a problem with shipping when I was buying college books back in the day. I had a situation where all my college books came to my house, and I got home from I think it was work or something, and I saw like an empty open box on my front porch, and the book was not in there. So I had to go through a process of like almost a month and a half, where I appealed to my credit card company to reimburse me on the money, because I paid for the book to be shipped,
Right.
and it didn't appear on my front
Yeah.
doorstep. And then they told me that I had to contact the bookseller directly, and it was one of those things where I used one of the websites where you type in what book you need and it provides all the prices.
Yeah, right.
So it wasn't necessarily a revered company that was sending me the books, but I got it
Right.
at a cheap price, so I took
Right.
advantage of it. But then I went and called them, and then they put me through another company that they got the book from, and it was just outrageous to the point where I don't even I actually forget how the situation was resolved, but I think after a month and a half, 2 months, I finally got my money back, and I had to order another book.
Right.
But I did not use that website. I never will to this day.
Yeah.
But and that's just another thing that could be relieved, maybe if they implemented drone delivery, because the thing is with drone deliveries that you got to think that it's going to stay compact and still and in the package and not moving around, specifically maybe like with a glass.
Once it drops it.
True. Yeah, and that's another thing with more of a problem of the drone, and they'll have to make sure that the drone is pretty much flawless. The same thing with like auto cars or something.
Yeah.
You're never going to put anything on the market like that, and it's handling products like that and
Yeah.
doing business
like
that.
they have tested
unless
it.
it's
Like this
flawless.
has already gone through in
Mhm.
Seattle, so it's happening.
Mhm.
I just don't think that large scale it'll work.
Fair enough.
I just think there's too many loops. I personally wouldn't even bother with it, because I wouldn't want to spend that much money in something that the government could just shut down so fast,
hmm
because that's the beast you're going up against. Is they just say, you know what, we're done with this. This is a huge safety concern for people. Done.
The safety
Over.
and privacy concerns are definitely valid,
Yeah.
and definitely probably the biggest hurdles that they'll be able to jump through. But then, pretty much the last point I'll make is just the umbrella advantage of getting rid of retail and providing this convenience is the fact that you're saving not only money in terms of everybody is putting more money into their pocket because they're not driving and not spending the gas money to get to these retail stores.
But that'll cost a lot up front.
True. For
Like-
the companies that are doing
Yeah.
the drone programs. But
Yeah.
then also you get the fact of less emissions, because if you're staying home
Yeah.
and not driving out to the store to get these retail products, they're being delivered to your house and your front doorstep, you're using a lot less gas
Yeah.
and harming the environment a lot less.
Yeah.
On a grand scale.
Yeah. It's so new that it's almost hard to have an opinion about it, because it's just we've never seen anything to this extent before.
Mhm.
So comparing it to anything, what's there to compare it to?
It's definitely tough.
Pretty
It's-
much.
It's
nothing.
definitely very interesting to see where
Yeah.
it'll head.
And Bezos is just a wacko.
Yeah.
I
He just loves to spend that cash.
his ideas are him and Elon Musk should just have a powwow together.
Yeah,
Where
right.
they just talk about the craziest ideas they've
Come
ever
up
had.
with the batshit ideas
Yeah.
and just see what they come up with.
Exactly.
If you have any opinions, let us know on youtube.com/TJENT, or if you're listening to us on
And
podcast form,
where do you go?
patreon.com/TJENT. Maybe
That's a
throw
good
us a buck,
start.
and
Yeah,
you
that's a
can
good
get
start.
access to that Patreon wall and let us know what you think with the posts, and you might even be featured on the show.
Bang.
So there you go.
We have done that already.
Yes, multiple times.
Yes.
So Tom,
What's up?
what's your first topic?
We're going to go back to the sports world.
Okay. Love the
And-
world of sports.
Yeah. Yeah. Big sports guys.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Pretty much everything, too.
Yeah, as you can
I'll
see.
sit down and watch anything.
You got a Chelsea jersey on. I have my
SMT,
old
FC.
yeah, FC
Shout
soccer jersey. Shout out. Summer internship. Loved it.
So Richard Sherman was in the news last couple weeks
Mhm.
because he wants the NFL players to strike.
Okay.
And my question to basically propose is, do the NFL players have a right to strike? And this is specifically in regards to NFL wages, because his argument is that NFL players do not get paid enough.
Okay.
So do you think that NFL players get paid too little or too much, just the right amount?
I think when it has
Rocks, or do they have the right to strike?
because when I think of, and I know you have some interesting data and facts to present here, but I the thing that I always come back to when it comes to justifiable wages for something, because another situation that came up recently, I think it was maybe last year, was the United States women's soccer team was arguing
yeah.
that they didn't have fair enough wages as the men's soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not by no means saying that they deserve to be paid less or deserve to make less
right.
money, but my opinion is reinforced by the fact of just the simple statement of how much money you make should be solely dependent on how much money you generate.
And what I find funny about that too is, if I'm an owner of a team and I own a men's team and a women's team, and the men's team makes me $100 million, and I pay my men's team in salaries $80 million,
Mhm.
but the women's team only makes, let's say, $50 million. I cannot pay the women the same wages as men's because they don't make as much as, like, there isn't enough money generated to pay them more. So I understand it's a touchy subject because it's women are being paid less than men, but like you said, like, if you don't make the same amount, if you don't generate the same amount, then
how can you justify making that amount?
Then I literally can't even give you that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even physically feasible.
It's not that I don't want to, it's that I can't.
Yeah. So
But
Yeah.
another, I mean, this is not really has to do with wages in particular, but another thing that the playing conditions that they had to deal with and the fields
Yeah,
that they had to play
that-
on as
yeah.
opposed to the men.
that's insanity.
Yeah,
Like,
what was it? The
that's-
World Cup in Canada they had to play on.
They had to play on turf.
Turf, yeah, which
and
is
it's
just
like,
fucking stupid.
and that literally would be like sacrilegious if they made the men's do that.
yeah, exactly.
Which there is talk they might actually have to because
Really?
of the Middle East conditions. But
oh yeah,
again,
in Qatar or Qatar.
different topic, different day.
Yeah.
But do you think the NFL players should strike? Or, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say should they have the right to, because I think everyone has the right to strike.
Mhm.
But do you think they should? And do you think it's justified?
Another thing that NFL players would have as their backup, and I just quickly looked up just the max contracts, like the top contracts in the
Yeah.
NFL, and like we saw,
Well,
I
Derek
think it was,
Carr just signed the
yeah,
biggest.
he has $25 million a year.
Yeah.
Is his newest contract.
Yeah.
But we talked about it, I think it was 2 weeks ago with one of our topics where James Harden made a contract that paid him $57 million a year. So that's more than double.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the importance of a player on a team,
You get
a
paid more.
QB like Derek
Yeah.
Carr on the Oakland Raiders, the fact of how much he contributes.
He's
and
invaluable.
yeah,
Like,
how much he contributes to the overall success of the team is way more valuable, at least in my opinion, than
Yeah.
James Harden is, let alone double the
Yeah.
value, more than double.
Here. I'll give you some stats to kind of think about this, because I pulled these up because we've heard this before. We've heard about lockouts. We've had the NHL lockout.
Yeah.
We've had an NBA lockout.
Mhm.
The NFL, we've talked about having a lockout.
They
So-
came close.
So this is where I have an issue with Richard Sherman bitching about not getting paid enough.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the averages because I think that we get too hung up on the max contracts,
Yeah.
and averages makes more sense.
Yeah, true.
So this is the average salary of each. I have the NFL, MLB, NHL, and NBA, and this is the average salary they make on a per game basis just in the regular season. The NFL is $130,000 per game.
Per game?
Per game
Okay.
that a person would make theoretically. The average career is 3.5 years in the NFL.
In the NFL, yeah.
MLB is $27,000 per game. Obviously, they pay a fuckload of games,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit skewed, but still, they make $27K as
Was
opposed
it 164 games, I think, in a season?
to 162.
Yeah,
maybe?
162,
Some,
164, something like
somewhere on there. Yeah,
160-ish.
yeah, and then their average career in the MLB is 5.6 years. NHL, $35K per game, average 5.5 years a career. NBA is $75K per game, and the average career is 4.8 years. So Richard Sherman's talking about this, and in all reality, this always comes around every single time there's free agency in the NBA because you see these ridiculous contracts for players that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
But my thing is, okay, you have a 55-man roster on an NFL team. You have a 14 max roster on a NBA team,
Mm-hmm.
and you're paying 82 games as opposed to 16. So what, like, the NFL average is 130K and the NBA is 75K. And this was at like right at the end of 2016. So it's a few months old, but still you're almost making double on a per game basis than what the NBA is. And you're really going to come at me and tell me, oh, we don't make enough. Like, that to me seems a little bit ridiculous and disingenuous, especially because the NFL season realistically, okay, so the first games are in September. Even if you go to the Super Bowl, so you have September, October, November, December, January, and February. You have 6 months. The NBA season starts in October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, and then June. I think June is the max if it goes 7 games for every series. So you have 9 months. It's like NBA players make more because they play more games and they play longer. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why this idea of, oh, NBA is getting max deals. Yeah, well, they have more money because they play more games and they have less players.
And I think one of Richard Sherman's, and this is kind of just a devil's advocate type thing, just to have just good counterpoints, because you got to think of the health aspect of it, because there's definitely aside from just the wages themselves, there's definitely some differences between the sports when it has to come with branding and how much money they're able to generate. Because you got to think, okay, health. One of Richard Sherman's points could be, we're risking our lives every day that you go out on the field with how hard these dudes can hit, with how strong, fast, quick all these guys are. It's ridiculous to the point of they could have a life-threatening injury at any point. Yeah. And you've seen some players already go through those type of life-threatening injuries.
Oh, yeah. Especially in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. But one could argue as well, though, when you stack up, okay, the NFL has 16 games in a regular season, like you said, giving out the schedules of the seasons. Yes, they're risking their lives, and not necessarily, I mean, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but they're putting putting their bodies on the line, put it that way. And with the collision sports such as that, I mean, health is more of a concern, but you got to think with NBA, because they're playing so many more games,
they're at more risk.
Yeah, and that wood floor, I mean, that puts a lot of work on your legs.
And you're playing both sides of the ball the whole game. Mm-hmm. In the NFL, you're playing one side of the ball.
Yeah.
And especially in a position like a QB where you're like nowadays, you can't even hit the QB without getting flagged. Mm-hmm. So it's like, to me, okay, you're really going to complain about not getting paid enough when you play one side of the ball, you play once a week, and you play 16 games in a regular season. Your seasons are shorter. Like, his argument, because he's actually going after the owners more so. Yeah. But I don't buy it, because you always talk about this right after NBA deals. Like, don't try and tell me that this isn't about the NBA.
That has everything to do with it, yeah.
And even so, I did the math for the max deals. So we just talked about Derek Carr. On a per game basis, he's making $1.5 million a year in the regular season.
Per game.
Okay. James Harden, $700K. It's double.
Yeah.
Like, and these are the biggest deals in the respective sports' history. And you're telling me, like, oh, I mean, to me, it's like a game is. This is a profession. You're a professional athlete. Your profession dictates that you're supposed to perform certain acts. The pinnacle of that is performing in these games. So your job performance is what you do on the field, the court, whatever. So you're telling me that you're going to do that less times than the other dude, and you're going to complain about getting paid less?
And another thing speaking...
Okay.
Yeah, and another thing speaking to kind of have to do with the health of a player, when you look at contracts specifically, because I had some of the bigger contracts in the other sports, Connor McDavid for the Oilers signed an 8-year, $100 million deal, and double the year and less than half of what James Harden's getting.
Yeah.
And then, I pulled up the morning article here. Giancarlo Stanton, back when he signed his contract in 2014, signed it for 13 years.
Yeah.
$325 million contract. Yeah. But my point is that you have these longer years and you have the less liability when it comes to, because you got to think in terms of the owner's perspectives, these guys are employees.
Yeah,
so you got to
exactly.
think, well, you can't give these ginormous contracts to these NFL players, especially if they're not in a position anything besides maybe QB.
Yeah.
But like we talked about before, QB's not even safe anymore.
Right.
Because of how fast and strong these guys
Well,
are.
I was arguing that QB position's the safest it's ever been.
Right. No, I was talking about when we talked about it previously with like QBs getting blindsided and you can tear your ACL, but the least you're going to get is a flag.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
So, I mean,
gotcha, yeah.
every person on the field, aside from a QB, has a significantly more risk
Right.
of getting injured, especially when you look at like running backs and
Yeah.
like linebackers and stuff
Yeah.
that are hitting shit on every single play. The liability is a lot higher with players like that.
Right.
And the liability is higher with each player. That means you can pay them less money because you don't want to commit to that long. So you see these contracts in the NFL of just like 3 years, 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 5 years. I remember Calvin Johnson's contract for the Lions back when they signed him when he was first in his prime. I think it was like 8 years.
I was
And
gonna
that
say,
was
yeah.
just like completely out of left field.
Yeah.
That was just like, holy shit, 8 years?
8
You're committed to
years,
these guys
yeah.
for 8 years,
You-
which is pretty nuts. And even Derek Carr's a
Yeah.
QB, a young QB who got drafted, what was it, 2 years ago? Or yeah. I think he got drafted
Or
2 years
this is his
ago.
third year in the league.
Yeah, this will be his upcoming third
Yeah.
year. Super young guy. QB, as we've said before, probably the safe position besides kicker on the football field.
Yeah.
And they're only committing for 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like, this dude is your franchise
And
that could
QBs can play till they're 40 if they're good.
Exactly. So this guy could be a part of your organization and leading your organization to the promised land for upwards of 20 years, and they're only committing to him at 5 years at a time. And this is the safest guy on the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
So when you look at these contracts, that when it comes to the health and the liability of the employee, as I guess we're talking, because I mean each one of these sports
Yeah.
is a business, then I could see how NBA players and MLB players would make more money over time and get larger contracts because you can invest in them longer.
Right. And he's going after owners. It's annoying because he basically is saying, don't count my money, don't tell me how much money I should be making, but the owners make too much money and we should get a piece of that. And I just think that's such a weak argument in general, because if I'm looking at this as a job, your job is to play football. That is your profession. If I'm in the consulting services and some other business in the same industry is paying more, then I leave and go to that job.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an NFL player, you can't just leave and go to the NBA. That's not how it works. Tough. Welcome to real life, man.
Yeah.
Welcome to the average working American who goes to their desk job and just says, man, I wish I made more money. And, oh, man, I would love to get paid more, but I don't meet the criteria for that profession. Like, tomorrow, I can't go and be a doctor. I would love to get the salary of a doctor, but guess what? I'm not qualified to do that. You're an NFL player. You're not qualified to be an NBA player and get a max deal like James Harden did. Tough shit.
Yeah.
Suck it up. You still get paid
Outrageous.
millions and millions. And I'm not one to count someone's money and say how much like they should be satisfied with, but understand that the fans are not going to back you. And you can't get pissed at people who are just saying, listen, man, I look up to you as a person. You're like, I'm a fan of you as a player. You brought me a lot of happiness with my friends and family. I pay money to watch you play a game.
Yeah.
And I go nuts at people who rip on you on the street when I have a few beers, right? That happens.
I don't pay anybody else to watch them work on a computer in a cubicle.
And yeah.
Go!
Yeah.
Enter in those TPS reports.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing, bro?
Yeah. Like that it doesn't exist anywhere else. Be thankful that you're in a position where you can retire next year and average still $1 million, you know, for the rest of your life. I don't want to sound like a broken record or like I'm just hammering Richard Sherman, but man, this is just so annoying when someone who's just so loaded, already a Super Bowl champion, is sitting here and telling the world, "Oh, we got to be ready to strike."
Because you're not going to get any sympathy from anyone that's
No.
outside the NFL.
No, and he's gonna bitch about it, and it's like, you don't have much of a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
Man. You want to go after the owners again. I understand, but also understand that they put a lot of they worked their asses off to be able to purchase a team, and now they own the team. That's business.
Mhm.
Welcome to America.
Yeah.
Where when you're a small business or a big one, if I go and I decide I want to own my own, ice cream shop, I save up the money, I sacrifice, I build it because I want it to be profitable, and then I build it into the situation I want. And now all of a sudden one of my employees says, "Oh man, I don't get paid enough." And I'm looking at him like, "Yo, on average you're making 130K for
Yeah,
one
but
game."
employees
Yeah.
at Dairy Queen
Yeah.
are making $5 more
I'm looking
per
at him in
scoop
the
of
face,
ice cream.
and I'm kicking him over and saying, "Then go work for Dairy Queen, you bitch."
And like what we talked about before in terms of marketing purposes,
Yeah.
you got to think about, and especially when we talked about money you make versus money
Yeah.
generated for the team.
Oh man.
With facial recognition, like we talked about before,
Yeah.
NBA players, nothing is covering their faces.
Yeah.
They're able to market themselves and the team a lot more because,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with NFL players, the jerseys, they're wearing the jerseys and it's out right in the
Yeah.
open, so you can't really compare that. But the facial recognition, in terms of how much money you're generating as a brand for your umbrella brand, which
Yeah.
is your team, in terms of, or versus an NFL player, has got to be way more too.
And it's-
And when you have less players on an NBA team, they're generating more because there's more of a focus as opposed to 11 guys on each side of the ball with NFL.
And if you're in a position where you're making millions, just little pro tip, if you're pissed because you're not getting paid enough, invest.
Yeah.
Make money other ways. You are not locked in. Guess what? NBA players, while they're playing, because you're done, because your season's over, go out and do other things. Like,
I'm sure Sherman is investing in something.
well, yeah, but I just mean like if he's complaining that he's not making enough money,
Mhm.
then hire a financial advisor. Do what Kobe Bryant's doing and going on CNBC and going on Mad Money and talking about why he's investing in certain things, or open up your own businesses. Become an owner.
Yeah, and
I mean, there's other things you can do. There's plenty of ball players that'll open up their own restaurants
Mhm.
because people will go just because, oh, it's Richard Sherman's restaurant.
LeBron's, I don't know if you've ever heard anything about LeBron's Blaze Pizza.
Yeah,
Apparently, it's one of the fastest growing small businesses like ever.
yeah.
And that's just a smart person. How do you not take advantage of the gigantic brand that is your name and face
And-
put it with a business? And that business is going to skyrocket. People are
And-
going to want to kill to say that they ate a pizza made by
Right.
LeBron James.
or just as a general purpose, oh, I have a ton of money, so if this goes under, it's okay. I can make it up with something. Like there's so many other ways you can make money that it just seems so lazy to me to just attack the owner of your team. So what that they make a ton of money? I mean, just to me, I just get over it, man.
And the competition aspect of it, especially if you're a basketball player,
Oh my God,
legitimizing
yeah.
how much money that you're making, you got to think, okay, dude, you have 50 guys on your team, 55 make
Yeah.
the like the traveling roster, the
Yeah.
everyday roster on an NFL team, and then you have 32 teams in the NFL, and really, when it comes to recruiting out of college and players that are coming into the NFL, you really only have to focus in this country.
right.
Basketball players have less spots on the team to make.
Yeah.
So like 15 spots on the team to make.
Yeah.
And they're competing with competition all around
over
the world. So you
Not-
got to think
yeah.
they're earning their spot. If they're good enough to make the best of the
Yeah.
best and make that starting five on an NBA team,
Yeah.
they probably deserve a little bit more money because not only are they generating more money, but they've gone through more of a struggle to get to that point,
right.
and in a way almost deserve more money for the hard work.
And it's just the owner puts up all the money, and they have to pay the medical staff, the field people, all the ushers. I mean, all the expenses that go into fields and just maintaining a team, and then renting out that venue for other events and stuff. That's a lot of capital. I mean, people talk about how rich owners are, blah blah blah, but they get rich. They
Mhm.
don't start rich. They spend all the money because they've done well for themselves, and then they have to work their way back. Because like the Clippers were sold for what, $2 billion?
Mm-hmm.
Do you really think he made $2 billion the first year?
Yeah, definitely not.
No, he didn't. So it's gonna happen over time, and I understand. It's like, all right, this guy has so much money, but good for him.
Mhm.
Like he did well for himself.
Yeah.
I think Richard's got to chill out a little bit. And I mean, I want Richard to be a Lion,
Mhm.
so I want him to like him.
Yeah.
So he needs to get this out of his system, because guess what? People that make less than him on the same team are going to look at him and be like, all right, well, then will you take a pay cut for me?
Mm-hmm.
Because I want more money,
Yeah.
and you make way more than I do, and I think I'm better.
Yeah, not to mention how many sponsors he's probably getting.
Yeah.
I mean, the general thing is, when it comes to how much money that you think you deserve, and how much money that you think you deserve to make.
Yeah.
It all depends on how much money you're able to generate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Make your own wealth.
Yeah.
I don't think that's. I don't know. I think that gets lost, and don't just sit there and yell.
You can't look at it as black and white, like with
Yeah.
the United States soccer team. You can't just look at it as, oh, why aren't men getting paid the same as women?
They're different like they're the same sport, but they're completely different sports.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the same umbrella
Yeah.
sport, but it's not. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
come down to money generated.
And Ronda Rousey, she put it perfectly. I remember they had a reporter asked her like, "Oh, how do you feel like you're a girl in the UFC and you're one of the biggest names and you're making so much less?" And she looks at the reporter and she says, "Yeah, I generate less than these big ticket people like McGregor
Mhm.
or Jose Aldo are making more because they generate more money. People pay more to see them fight."
We're not saying they should generate more money.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
It's a simple fact.
Yeah,
It's not an
that's-
opinion.
And to me, it's just kind of like put up your bootstraps, generate your own wealth, take a little bit of self accountability, just a little bit. And with Richard Sherman specifically, it's just I can't even feel bad because I'm just like, if you've seen $1 million on a check ever, I'm just gonna look at you and tell you
You don't get a lot of sympathy
I don't
from
really
me.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
The fact that the average American is gonna dream of a 6-figure salary for the rest of their lives, and that's like the dream. Like, oh my God, finally broke 100, 200K or whatever.
Yeah.
And you did that, and you guaranteed yourself that for 20 years and like one contract extension. Come on, man.
Yeah. Not to mention the pension that NFL players get and stuff.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, we're beating a dead horse.
Yeah. If, depending on what you think, if you agree with
Yeah.
us that NFL players don't really have a leg to stand on when it comes to striking, or if you want to back up the NFL players
Yeah.
or make another point of your own,
Yeah.
please let us know in the comments on youtube.com/TJENT.
Or do you want to strike and you want us to strike?
Yeah.
Let's strike together.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's do it. We should get paid more. I think that's where this conversation's going.
Yeah,
is
definitely.
that we should take Richard Sherman's contract for him
Mhm.
because we deserve it more than he does.
And if you're not listening to us, if you're not listening to, or if you're not watching the video and you still want to let us know what you think, go to patreon.com/TJENT. You can throw us $1, maybe even $2, and let us know there.
Post it.
And like we said, you might even get on the show.
Cool.
So, that was a great topic.
Yeah.
And my topic has kind of something to do with the theme of your topic.
Money,
Yes.
NFL. Richard
Not
Sherman.
NFL. Just the money aspect,
Oh.
mainly. Depending on your answer.
Okay.
This could go a lot of ways. This is definitely going to be an
Let's
interesting
call
conversation.
Money Shermans instead. Let's start that.
Money Shermans?
Yeah. So I make a lot of Shermans.
Oh, okay. There you go. Instead of Benjamins, go
Yeah.
Shermans.
Shermans.
So this is kind of be probably, I think, if I can think back, probably our first topic that pretty much has no research based whatsoever. It's just kind of everything opinionated coming off the top, just how we personally feel. My question for you, my second topic, is what inspires you the most? So when you wake up
Inspires.
and get out of bed, what gives you that final push to say, all right, let's get this shit done and take on the day? Because it could be money, could be success, could be progress. And I'll start with my answer. I mean, just kind of because
Yeah,
obviously we'll
you
go
can
into
go.
discussion about
Yeah.
this. My quick answer is, and it has just another and. So many ands. I'm
And.
gonna do sooner or later. I'm gonna do a counter of how many
And.
ands. Maybe sooner. Maybe if I put it on the screen and show how much I do it, maybe I'll correct it. But it's gonna
And.
be a slow process.
And
And my inspiration in another, I do it subconsciously at this point, is not necessarily money, but the fact of it's not even an opinion that money is a necessity for anything that you want to do, whether it's a
Yeah.
lot or little. You need some of it to
do
accomplish
the things
anything.
you want to do.
Yeah, accomplish anything that you want to do. With money in particular, in terms of my aspect of what inspires me the most, I think progress would probably be the best explanation of what inspires me the most, like best term to explain what inspires me the most, because specifically with this channel, our aspirations with this channel, and we've listed it out on our patreon.com/TJENT, with this channel to eventually gain a platform in order to broadcast our thoughts and opinions to other people in the hopes of changing minds. And not changing minds like forcibly changing your mind, but changing your mind to the point where you
Opening
hear our
your mind.
opinions. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Opening your mind to more ideas and opinions, because I think that's one of the things that limits us as a society the most in terms of, especially in today's day and age, because whether you like Trump or you dislike Trump, everything that his brand and everything that has come with this election and everything leading up to this election has kind of construed how society, and especially when it comes to anything social media wise, he's affected it.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to generate enough in an audience where we reach eyes and ears to the point where we can provide an avenue away from all the bullshit. Because when you look at whether it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, no matter where you get your news from, it is opinionated and biased in a certain way, whether it's left or right. So we want to provide, and this is what inspires me, is because I want to provide or gain a platform in order to provide a way away from those distractions and those just because it seems like whether you're on the left side or the right side, whether
Everyone's
you're watching,
mad.
and everything is like we said before, the world is ending yesterday, and whether it's stuff that like the right attacking the left or the left attacking the right, it's all
happens both ways.
It just seems to be so negative
all the time.
And I guess the umbrella, I've said that 3 times too. The general theme of what inspires me is that I want to provide, how do I want to put it? Provide a way to present you with facts and stuff that's actually happening, current event stuff and things that are happening and affecting your life, but do it in a way of it's just fact-based, and we're not coming at you with any bullshit, not anything with biased or anything that's going to be not fact and backed up with data. So it's not anything like opinionated where we're throwing out these ridiculous claims of stuff that's going on. So pretty much my simple answer at first is just what inspires me is to gain a platform that then I can somehow maybe change the world for better.
I mean, you just want to open up a new line of communication.
Yeah.
My like metric for that is I want to open up a form of communication where we're just shooting the shit at the bar. Because I remember one time I was out with a couple friends that I work with, and we were joking about politics and stuff, and he was telling me, he was just like, yeah, I think it's cool that you guys can just sit down and talk about it. Like, you don't mind. I'm like, because I don't think politics has to be like life and death and, oh, you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican, we need to slit each other's throats.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that I would say, and this is not an exaggeration, I would say 98% of my life has been surrounded by Republican friends. And they are still my friends.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were both Democrats. Pretty much, I would say the overwhelming majority of my household was Democrat. All my friends were Republican. All their parents were Republican. And guess what? That doesn't change literally anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just doesn't matter. So I think you're basically what's inspiring you. I mean, it's just this idea of we can just sit down and talk about it. We don't have to punch each other in the face. The only thing that I will say is sports. I don't think I can ever have like a lukewarm conversation.
An objective conversation about
like, well, no, I can have objective conversations, but you just always have those pricks that just don't know anything, and you got to put them in their place.
Yeah,
I get
well, especially when it comes to sports.
Yeah,
but and it's this idea that in order for one side to win, the other side has to lose.
Yeah.
And the other side, terms of many extreme personalities that you may see on the news, it's not only lose, but have to go down in hell and burning.
Yeah, you have to hit your
in
head
order for
cut
one
off
side to
and,
win.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just one always has to be right and one always has to be wrong. It can never be, oh, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I think
in this situation they're right, but in this situation they're wrong.
Like, if Trump tomorrow were to say like, oh, I messed up on something, the left would be like, oh my God, see, he's wrong, blah blah blah, he's the worst ever, and I'd just be like, people are wrong.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we'd have any different metric for anybody else. But yeah, I totally get that, and I think that's why we started this.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we do it.
Yep. So what inspires you, Thomas?
I don't know. It's tough because I wouldn't say I'm materialistic in the sense that I like materialistic things, but I don't care about them.
Mm-hmm.
I think cars and houses and stuff like that are really cool, but as I've gotten older, I've just cared less and less.
You're not one of those people where like it almost has to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's almost like you're fixing an itch.
Yeah, and I've tried to become more of a minimalist in certain things. I'll obviously splurge on certain things. But I think honestly, what gets me like up for the day and take things on is getting things done.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be the smallest things. Like I love online classes because it'll have a meter that says like, oh, you're 60%
The to-do
complete.
list, checklist mentality,
Yeah.
I totally feel you on that one.
It's
It's
like-
such a nice feeling.
And like even at work, I make bullet points and just list it off.
Great
And
idea.
And when you just cross it off, it's just yes, that is so satisfying.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, the smallest of stuff, but bigger. I mean, I love DIY projects. So for our college house, we built a bar, and it's just like seeing something that you can tangibly use that you did and created is so awesome.
Mm.
But even something like this, where we sat down and said we want to have better mics, a table. Oh, here's some records. Let's do it. And then all of a sudden, within a couple days of purchasing everything, more than that, but roughly speaking, we have tablets out, mics hooked up to mixer, camera good to go, batteries.
And we were talking about, like, especially when I first turned on the camera, we got everything set up, and I first looked at the view, and I just told you, man, it's such a great feeling when you plan everything out and you get all these pieces together, especially like you said, mics, cameras, everything that has to do with our show together, and it actually looks and works exactly as you plan it. That is one of the greatest feelings ever.
And it's just like, it's just the fact of you set out to do something and you did it.
Mm.
Whether you did it well or not, honestly, I don't get hung up on, like getting rewarded for things, even with work and stuff. I appreciate criticism. I appreciate people telling me I did a good job, but I don't need that.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I need criticism. I don't need someone to tell me, oh, you're doing a great job every day.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people might, but for me personally, as long as you're not yelling at me, I'm just going to assume I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
So,
And the only thing that I would say in terms of when I appreciate gratification is, like you said, when I know that maybe because sometimes I've heard from numerous amount of coaches or teachers, if I'm not coming to help you or if I'm not telling you what you're doing wrong,
right.
it's usually probably a bad sign.
Yeah, that's true.
So the gratification, in a sense, is definitely a positive thing, especially in the workplace for me. Not every day, but it's just in terms of knowing that I'm on the right track.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's definitely fair.
When you talk about progress in terms of, especially like when you're talking about DIY projects, and when you built that bar and you saw that, saw it come together, and especially when you see other people using it and just knowing that you built that is such a satisfying feeling.
Even Joey's older brother Ian, who we have mentioned previously,
Shout out.
for spoiling Game of Thrones
Yes.
for you boy.
Dick.
He got me into brewing my own beer, and even that, like, I remember when I first started doing that, and it was just kind of fun. But the first time I had 15, 20 people over that all loved it was just like,
Yeah, that bomb. What was
here.
that cider that you made?
yeah, I made pear from Ian.
That was the pear cider is the one that
Yeah.
I had. I was just like,
yeah,
chugging
I mean
it.
that thing was gone, and I made it every time I did it because everyone loved it,
Mhm.
and like seeing people like it, and you're just like, I built my kegerator, I figured it out on my own. That's another thing is I like doing things by myself.
Yeah.
I'll consult people.
Oh, yeah.
But if I can do it
It's
alone,
dumb not to.
and I'll give other people credit when credit's due, obviously. But if I built a kegerator and I did it, I'm not going to go around saying like, oh, I did it all on my own. But in my head, I'm telling myself, man, I saw a problem. Not even a problem. I saw something I wanted to do. I looked it up online, figured it out, went through it,
Did it.
did it,
Bang, boom.
boom. So I like that. I when I say I don't need gratification, I really don't. I just tell myself like I did it.
You don't need gratification, but at the same time, when you build something like that badass and someone calls to you, is like, dude,
Yeah.
where the hell did that bar come from? It's dope. It's like,
I always feel
yeah,
like kind
I
of
built that shit.
I feel like kind of a dick though, because I remember someone would be like, "Oh yeah, like who made it?" And be like,
well, you're super modest, but
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say that. I don't want to like sound like a huge prick, being like, "Oh, look at all my sick stuff that I made."
You like that bar, bro?
Like I just
Like that bar? Guess who made it?
The
Ask who
only
made it.
the
I
only
did.
gratification I enjoy is people just using it and liking it. They
Mhm.
don't need to tell me about it. They just, as long as people are around.
It's almost like the gift giving mentality where as you grow older,
oh
this
my
is
god,
probably another
giving
topic
gifts,
for
gifts are so much better being given than
seeing a
being
reaction
gifts.
of
It's priceless because you
Yeah.
can't buy it.
yeah, exactly.
Like, that's oh man.
You can buy a product, but you cannot buy a reaction.
Yeah.
Hallmark card.
And even DIY, if you like, I do love getting made, like something made something for me. I think that's like the coolest thing ever. But if I make something for somebody, I also think it carries a lot more weight.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just the idea of I set out to do something, and even like business school. When I mean, if you were to tell me in high school that I was going to apply to business school and get in, I would think you're nuts. And it was just a matter of when I got that acceptance letter, it was just like I saw something, I decided I was going to go for it, and I did it. And even if I fail, even if I wouldn't have gotten in, it would have been the idea of like I set out to try something, I gave it my shot, I didn't make it. Oh well.
And when it comes to that DIY mentality, and I think that has something to do with why I found my niche as a software developer with computer programming and coding applications and stuff. Because I'll never forget, I used to study, for those of you that don't know, I used to study pre-med, and for the first 2 years of my college education, I studied.
Had a lot of fun.
Yes, it was a blast getting a D in anatomy and physiology and physics in the same semester. But it was, in side story, quick anecdote, it was funny because every time I would go around campus, and I went to Saginaw Valley State University, if anybody knows the Cardinals, shout out. But I went around campus, and every time I would tell someone that was in the exercise science major, because that's what I was doing, every time I would say, it's like, yeah, I'm taking anatomy and physiology plus the lab and physics in this semester, and they just look at me like, sick, dude.
Maybe
Like,
that wasn't a good idea.
Maybe it wasn't your smartest decision
Yeah.
to take that, because apparently those were the two hardest classes
Yeah.
in the major at the school, and I took them in the same semester. So not a great idea. But my point was, when I changed my degree to computer science, and even when I went to my first programming class on our first exam, it was one of the simplest applications that he wanted us to code. It was something with the Finch robot where we had to code it to move, run into certain things, and do things as it ran into certain things, and then display like a temperature gauge or something. And just when the teacher just gave us the simple rubric, and I just went and coded it, it worked. I did it, everything that was...
Yeah, you see your program run.
Because that's the biggest thing with programming, is the almost self-gratification, because when you code something, when it works, it is one of the greatest feelings
Right.
ever. And the
Yeah.
fact that he gave us a rubric, just told us to go and do
Just
it,
do
show
it.
us what you
Yeah.
got, and I did it perfectly, 100%. That was just one of the most satisfying feelings ever. And when it comes to that satisfying feeling, whether it was just that simple application,
Yeah.
or now that I'm almost done with my degree and in the workplace, doing complex applications and being able to build out complex functionality
Right.
is such a good feeling, because like you said, when you set out to do something, it's like, okay, I want to get this feature done. I want to be able to have this program do this certain function,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to just go in there, code it, and you're building something. I don't know, there's just something unique about coding that gives you that satisfying feeling of you're coding in stuff that's working in the background of this application that's never seen.
Yeah, no
but
one knows it's there, but somehow it's going to do everything that you want it to do.
exactly how you want it to get done.
Even like a computer having a light that comes on at a certain time, and you're just like, yeah, I programmed it so it beeps a certain amount.
And it definitely
this
makes
comes
you
on.
it definitely makes you appreciate a lot of the products, especially us. It appreciates a lot of the products that we use
Video
on a
games.
day-to-day basis. It's nuts to think about when you know the background and you know all the nitty-gritty details that go into
Yeah.
an application or program, a hardware product. It's definitely interesting to know, and it pretty much blows your mind when it comes
And-
to all of it coming together and giving you like a video game.
Similarly, I like DIY projects because you make it your own.
Mhm.
So building furniture and stuff, I think is super fun because it's almost like you can never find exactly what you wanted, but you can make it what you want.
Mhm.
So with the program, it's like, okay, I wanted to do this. I'm going to make it do this, but I kind of want some other features. I'm going to do it my way just because it makes it easier for me.
Yeah. And the last point I'll make, and the last thing that really inspires me, is other people. Because
Oh,
when
yeah.
I look at, and I'll be the first one to admit it, I'm one of the biggest softies and sensitive people, at least I think, when it comes to seeing other people succeed and seeing those special stories, like anything to do with
What's your tearjerker?
anything to do with handicap or like special
I
needs
was-
people doing certain things and
Yeah.
all these stories like the Make-A-Wish, anything
I
to
was
do
gonna
with that
say,
stuff.
Oh man, I'll binge watch Make-A-Wish or
The Come Home
ESPN.
Military Family
I was
ones.
just gonna say it's just like, oh man,
Dude,
wow, I
I've
have
just,
it pretty
like,
great.
I just have to have a box of tissues
I
next
know,
to me,
dude.
and I'm just
it's pretty rough.
bawling like a
Or
baby.
like the E60s where like they lose a kid or something
Yeah.
like that, and like this. Oh god,
Anything
it's
that's like sad or anything that's overly happy, like someone achieving
Yeah,
some
yeah.
great feat, it's just so inspirational, and it gets a little tear jerking. But
Yeah.
on a more personal level, the reason why I think that's instilled in me is because I've grown up with an uncle that has cerebral
Yeah,
palsy,
yeah.
and I've ever since I can remember as a kid growing up, because he had to live with us for a certain amount of time, growing up and having to interact with him on a daily basis, and I've grown just such an appreciation for
what he has to deal with.
yeah, and what he has to deal with on a daily basis, and really just life itself and how precious it is.
Yeah,
And I use that as an inspiration to get up every day, because I think to myself, okay, if there's ever a moment where I'm going to complain, or where there's ever a moment where I don't want to do something, or that I need that little kick, I just think of other people and their
Yeah.
success stories and how they've dealt with
yeah,
so much less than what I have,
Yeah.
and so much less capability, and they've achieved these like massive feats. It's just so inspirational to me to see that, especially because I've seen it firsthand. I mean, they said that he wasn't supposed to live past 35, and he's
right.
upwards in his 60s now.
Yeah,
So just the simple fact of him living and
defying
existing
every
and
odd. Yeah,
spending time with him and seeing him enjoy the little things in life and seeing how happy he is, just gives me that inspiration to just give me that final push to say anything I want to do, fuck man,
I
it's
can do it.
possible.
Yeah, I can, and like I said before, it's just like just give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it out there, and if you don't, oh well, it's okay.
You can never hit a home run if you don't step up to the plate.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorites. The quotes hanging up in the weight room.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorites.
and I mean, it just goes along the shot. Yeah, you take a shot, but if you fail, I mean, you shouldn't feel like failures. Shouldn't feel like failures.
Because that's one thing that the fear of failure is one thing that, I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't inspire me, because everyone in a sense it inspires them a little bit,
Right.
but I have no problem with failure.
Yeah.
I'm not the one of the person that says
you're not gonna do that again.
yeah,
Great.
because that's one of the most beneficial things of failure and
Yeah.
doing things that you eventually
Don't want to
Fail?
Yeah.
it's the essence of learning from that
Right.
failure and then applying it to your and that's why one of the things where we always talk about, if you're going to provide comments here on youtube.com/TJENT, that's why we always welcome criticisms as well
Yeah.
as praises, because like if you want to tell us if you like our stuff, that's
Yeah.
awesome, but tell us anything that you can think of that you
That's-
don't like, because we
yeah.
want to change it and improve,
Because then it just makes you better as a person.
and it
as
like
a
makes you like
professional.
us, our show, better.
Yep. Exactly. And we want you to stick around. Where?
Here on youtube.com/TJENT. So Tom, after
Topic.
that pretty heavy, emotional,
Heavy hitting.
just nothing but realness and real talk here on Real Talk.
Okay, so we're gonna
What's
switch
your topic?
it up. Like I've said before, but anyone who hasn't listened before, we try and do one that's a little bit more serious and one that's a little bit more relaxed.
This is
and laid
probably
back.
our episode where the topics are most out of like opposite left fields.
Yeah, but that's the point. We want to make sure that
Exactly.
if you don't like the first topic, screw it.
Yeah.
Listen to the second one. It will be nothing like the first one.
hmm
So I'm gonna put a little bit of a caveat to this one. So we're gonna do our top 5 personal favorite TV shows of all time
Ever.
and
Whether they're done now or not.
yeah, and it can be anything, literally anything. It's not a matter of I'll say it's not a matter of this is like my favorite comedy or favorite blah blah. It's just, what do you watch? What have you always watched?
Yeah. There's no real like details that we set out. It's just
Yeah,
top 5
yeah.
TV shows that you enjoyed the most, pretty much.
Exactly. And we'll have some honorable mentions,
Mhm.
and some of those will have within them, like, I put a caveat to the caveat where it's like, well, this show, but only for like the first 3 seasons.
Yeah, there
or
you
something
go.
like that. But we aren't going to include Game of Thrones, and I made that executive decision because
It was a great one.
we already do an episode where we blow our loads over Game of Thrones.
That's
so
a very good way to put it. It's a very good verb.
Yeah, so it's kind of just redundant to talk about a show that we
Yeah.
already spent literally an entire episode talking about.
Yeah.
So we're not going to talk about it. It'd probably be both in our top 5s. So it won't be there, so don't get pissed. But
Yeah.
if you do, then let us know in the comments.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So we're going to go. I'll let you go first. You can do
Okay.
your 5th, and
Okay.
we're going to go 5 to 1, but we're going to do it snake draft style. So it's going to be 5, 5, 4, 4,
Okay.
3, 3, 2,
I'm down.
2, 1, 1. And then, you know what? Before we get,
You want to do honorable mentions first?
no,
Okay.
I want to do those. We're going to break those up. We're going to do our 2.
Because
and then
you're the runner. Your
Yeah,
topic. We're doing it how we want.
I'm calling the shots.
All right.
Taking the reins.
Bolo, shot caller,
So we'll do,
TV shows.
you'll do 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3.
Okay.
Get to 2.
All right.
And then we'll do honorable mentions, and then we'll do our 1.
Oh, I like it.
Ba-boom.
I like it.
All right.
Like it a lot.
Numero 5.
All right. You want me to go first?
Splatoon. Splatoon me. Let's go.
Platoon you. Okay. My number 5. Oh, I had the wrong thing pulled
What
up
was
here.
it? Just out of curiosity.
What?
That you had pulled up.
It was general topics.
Oh, never mind.
It was
I was gonna say, it'd be. What if those were TV show? Like, what if those were ended up being TV show titles?
Oh yeah, exactly. That'd be
James
hilarious.
Harden contract, $57 million. Yikes.
So my number 5 and my first 3 were pretty easy, but my 4 and 5 and kind of my 3 were pretty tough. So my 5 were between 2, but I'll give you the one that I finalized on. Number 5 is The Americans.
Ooh,
Which
I've
is-
never seen a second of the.
And when we were talking about this, we don't know each other's choices, by the way, as a
Yeah.
as a preface, but it was pretty interesting because we knew that our shows would be pretty different. But The Americans, to me, and it has to do with my love for anything stealth or like covert, in the
Spy,
shadows, behind the scenes spy type stuff. And to give you a quick synopsis of the show is 2 Russian agents are posing as an American family with kids, and they go through covert operations in the United States as covert operatives for Russia. And it kind of goes through and the show's still going. It hasn't been.
Yeah. I was
like, it
gonna
hasn't
say
stopped.
it's on FX, right?
Yep. It's on FX, and I think it's at season 6 right now, I
Gotcha.
believe.
And it's
But-
done pretty well.
Oh
from
yeah,
what
it's won awards. I think it won IGN's TV Show of the Year. I think last
Gotcha.
season, and it's been just a great show from start to finish, and I've enjoyed every single episode. That is my number 5.
And I'll say this: it's probably it's very likable in the sense that it probably seems like it could happen in real life. Right?
Oh yeah, back
I
in the
mean,
Cold War days, I'm
yeah.
sure it actually happened.
Because I mean, I haven't seen it, but
And their neighbor is an FBI agent, so
that's what I would.
pretty crazy
Yeah.
shenanigans.
Things get pretty wacky.
Yeah.
But
2 Russian agents, and their neighbor is an FBI agent.
Rap Schneider.
Rap Schneider.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept, and the Cold War is interesting just because it's exactly what you wouldn't think a war is.
Yeah.
Like when you think war, you think boots, you think troops, you think planes, some blah blah blah. Cold War, it's like what is a Cold War?
Yeah.
I don't wonder.
Disguises.
Are you gonna angrily shout at each other in a conference room?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good choice.
It's good show.
Okay, my rounding out the top 5.
Okay.
This is a fantastic show, and I'm assuming you've never seen it,
Probably not.
but it is Top Gear.
Top Gear.
But
You are correct in saying that I've never seen it because I have not.
slash the Grand Tour, because what happened, if you are not familiar with Top Gear is a car show, and honestly, I wouldn't even call it a car show. It's more of a comedy show.
Okay.
And they're entertainers, and they just happen to talk about cars. But the there's 3 hosts, and one that's more famous probably than the others, I would say. His name's Jeremy Clarkson. He got in tiff where he punched one of the producers in the face,
Nice.
and they
That's how you
so, yeah.
establish your reign.
So they fired him, and
Never mind. Not good advice. That's how you establish yourself. Then
And
you got
this
fired.
This is a short version. So they fire him, but it's 2 hosts. This is kind of baller. Richard Hammond and James May. They said we're a package deal, and
Nice.
so they
Suicide Pact.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And so they said that they would resign and they wouldn't do the show without him because
Gotcha.
it wouldn't be the same, which
Baller
I thought
move.
was pretty cool. Because I don't know the details of why Jeremy punched him in the face. He apologized for it, but they disagreed on a lot of things, and basically he just felt like they weren't letting him do the show that they wanted to do. And I'm not trying to defend him punching his producer in the face.
It's just so funny to think
but-
of just this, like, not even a fight where they had like multiple punches, where it's just a situation where all he did was
This
just
British
one
dude,
punch, like
yeah.
haymaker to the face.
And
That's all it
everyone's faces
warranted.
after is just like, God damn it.
Damn it! Why did
But-
you do that?
So, but they do these crazy challenges. So they do want, and it's his, like my mom, she isn't like a car person, but she does enjoy cars quite a bit. And I mean, we've watched it together, and she adores that show. It is so funny. They do celebrity guests. They have like a track where a celebrity will try and do a lap as fast as they can in like this really crappy Mazda.
Mhm.
And
I've never
it's-
been huge into cars and
Yeah.
like how some people are like with knowing
Right.
specific models
and
by
they,
being able to
they
look
will
at a
give
car.
you specifics. And I will say this, the film, like the actual shots they make are beautiful.
Yeah, I've heard
because
nothing but good things about the show.
They do these huge races, like, and when I say races, like one of them was they had to like find a car for under like $3,000 and get from point A to point B in any way possible. It's just little challenges like that, but they'll drive through these beautiful mountains in the Alps or somewhere in Europe, and it's just, I mean, you get to see a car either very reasonable or the exotics of the exotics
Yeah.
in these beautiful shots, the interiors, the exteriors, but from guys that will shit on them if they want to.
Mhm.
Like if they don't like a car, they will tell you, and it's hysterical to hear their complaints.
Yeah.
And like they could be something so small like cup holders, or like when they get in the new Lamborghinis and they're just like, I don't even know where to begin because there's so many buttons. And it's really funny. But
It's a good show.
there's like 24 seasons of it, or
Damn.
something like that.
What was
But
that? What
they-
channel was it on? History?
no, it was on BBC.
BBC. Okay.
And I got a little bit distracted. So after they split up or whatever, Amazon picked the three up and they started their own show, and it's
That's
called The
right.
Grand Tour. So this
Okay.
is their second season of The Grand Tour, which is
Gotcha.
really Top Gear, because Top Gear did continue after, but anyone who watched it with the original three will hate the new one because it sucks.
Gotcha.
But The Grand Tour is the actual,
It's dope.
yeah, and
Word.
it's awesome.
Nice.
Amazon budget.
Yeah. I mean, it's just limitless.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
All right,
So,
Quattro.
my number 4 is a classic. The newest season just came out on Netflix, and that is House of Cards.
Again, another show that I still have yet to start.
Which is one of your biggest mistakes ever.
Yeah, and I will accept that because everyone tells me that I would love it, but I don't know. It's just such a commitment.
Yeah, and especially
It's like a
because
relationship.
it really is, because when you get into these shows, specifically, at least one of my shows is unlike this, but the other ones are. When you get into those 50, 60-minute episodes, it's
Yeah.
definitely a commitment
Yeah.
to if you want to say, okay, I want to watch this show
And you have to pay
binge
attention.
watch it. Yeah, especially with House of Cards, because
Yeah.
there's a ton of stuff going on. So the reason why I like House of Cards so much is because I get into politics, and I get into not just politics in terms of what Trump did this day or what we dislike, what we like about Trump, blah, blah, blah. I could honestly, in terms of my interest in politics, I could honestly care less who the president is or anything, because if you know much about politics, the president, he's the poster child
He's a player.
of Washington, but he's really a puppet with a bunch of strings. And I'm not just saying that specifically about Trump. Any president
Right.
is going to have strings come out of wherever, no matter who it is. So it dives into, and I've read articles of saying that when you watch House of Cards, know that they might go into an exaggeration with certain details, but there's other details, especially when it comes to legislation and the process of creating legislation, going through the process of voting, gathering votes, getting votes in terms of getting votes in
And the
receiving some
the,
sort of
the
benefit.
deals made.
Yeah, the deal. That's what
Yeah.
deal was the word I was looking for. The deals made. They go into the nitty gritty details, and it's more has to do with just being interested in the behind the scenes work that you usually normally never see.
Right.
And not to mention Robin Wright, who is the lead female character, and Kevin Spacey
I was
are
gonna
just
say,
baller ass
Yeah,
characters.
you're a big fan of Kevin Spacey.
I love Kevin Spacey. He plays such a good, like, and it's weird because it's one of those shows, and the same thing with the Americans, because they're two Russian operatives, but they pose them in the show as almost like you're rooting for them, even though they're
You're really
agents
not.
against
Yeah.
against the United States. But Kevin Spacey, another one in House of Cards, he's definitely, and I won't spoil anything for the show, but he's portrayed as a dude that's power hungry, that's trying to climb up the food chain, and he does pretty like bad
does-
things.
yeah.
So he's portrayed in the show, and he does actions like he should be a villain,
Mm-hmm.
but it's structured in the way, at least at first in the beginning seasons, where you're almost like you're rooting for him.
Right.
And I like shows like that because it definitely gives you an interesting perspective. Like, okay, I want this character to succeed, but really, when you look at the grand scheme of the idea
I
of the
don't
show,
want you to, yeah.
he's a villain.
Yeah.
especially in the sense of the Americans, where, like we said, Russian operatives. I'm rooting for them, but wait,
Well,
should
and
I be?
I mean, with that show, again, I haven't seen it, but I know you said it. You try and apply it to what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And it's just very interesting. To
Especially the most recent season. If you've seen the most recent season and you've watched it and kind of thought about what's worked up into the election, it's pretty funny. It's like,
I know a lot of
holy
people
shit,
do that with like the
they
Clinton
actually
family,
did this. Yeah.
and people saying, "Oh no, this is a political marriage."
Yeah.
Not like they don't actually love each other.
I
'Cause
remember-
even like a show like Scandal, which I've seen before. They've like kind of dabble a little. I mean, it's obviously total TV drama.
Yeah.
Not nearly to the caliber of House of Cards, but even that will show like, oh, maybe this is all a front, and this family isn't actually together. It's just how they got to the presidency and
Yeah.
what they're willing to do to get what they want done.
Not to mention, it's definitely got some dark sides to it, especially in this
Yeah.
most recent season. And as I've said before, I'm not interested. I'm not a dark person, but that type of
That's
plot
life.
line, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Life
just
is dark.
the darkness of the plot line and the things that happen in the show and how they link them together.
They make shows better.
It definitely makes it way more
I'm
interesting.
all aboard that.
Quattro, what is yours?
Number 4. This is going to be a family-friendly show.
Okay.
Cartoon.
Cartoon, family friendly,
Comedy Central.
Comedy Central.
South Park.
That's a great family friendly show. That's awesome.
I mean, South Park it's almost just like a automatic.
Yeah.
Just because I have legitimately seen every episode a million times, but I don't know. When I think about the terms of comedies, I don't know if there's a show where I've laughed harder.
Really?
I can't think of one
Fair enough.
because I think it was season like 8, 9, and 10 when it was like money years. And it
Well,
was
because the
just-
great thing about those shows is that they can stay current because they just
Yeah.
make fun of whatever's current
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
time of the season.
And I will say the last season, I don't like how they're going the direction of like building off each other's episodes.
Mhm.
When it was before, it was just random
Yes.
episode.
Different
like-
story each episode.
And even like in a little sense, they kind of built off where they'd bring characters back. Okay, I'm all aboard that, but I just like the ones that were completely random topics. But I mean, Randy Marsh with the Cream Frage episode,
One of the best
the,
characters ever created
Caesar
ever.
Milan when he makes Cartman, treats Cartman
Oh,
like a
it's-
dog. That's
Matt?
you eat chicken,
Matt?
chicken, man.
When he's just laying on his back. Eh.
Or I'm trying to think. The World of Warcraft episode's probably my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
Because the first time I watched it, I was dying. Imagination Land.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
the trilogy. The
did
my
I say,
fr-
did
my
I say gluten-free Ebola? Did
No.
Okay, I guess that one is holy crap
make
hilarious.
makes your dick fly off. I'll never forget when I first heard it.
Makes your dick fly off.
And just the one person randomly in the crowd. It makes your dick fly off. That show, the one-liners from that show are
Are
almost
just-
untouchable.
It even like when Kyle won't invite Cartman to his birthday party, and he's like, "Why
Que
would you invite me?"
bonita.
He's like, Kyle's like, "You always make fun of me for being Jewish. When have I ever made fun of you for being Jewish?" And it does like a 45-second montage, and Cartman just goes, "Okay, except for maybe like that one time,
That went down.
or Jews can't play basketball." And then
Oh, yeah,
Kyle's
the one-
knees explode.
Oh yeah, when Randy turns himself into a dolphin.
And the losing edge when the kid with cancer has
Stanley's Cup.
Stanley's Cup, that's what it's called.
Hey coach,
Hey,
what am I gonna do? I'm just his father.
You're his coach. You're like a father to him. And then at the end, he's like, "Oh, his cancer isn't getting better any worse. It's just sort of
like
time."
a tie.
And they play the Red Wings.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Go out and play the rest of the
I
half.
could talk about that show all day,
Yeah.
but it is without a. I mean, there's no show that makes me laugh harder.
Definitely a great 4.
Yeah, that's for sure.
My number 3, and this is what makes this conversation interesting, is because there's shows that we probably haven't seen.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Homeland,
Ooh, yep, another one.
and it's kind of a unique show because it's on
That I've not
Showtime,
seen. That's what I
right?
was gonna say.
And it's a unique show because it's on the channel Showtime, which is in that realm of HBO, like Cinemax, Skinemax.
I can't say Cinemax
Yeah, without
that's
saying
like
Skinemax. It's just like it feels better.
Yeah.
But it's in that realm of channels where you have to pay as like a subscription service. But I don't think they don't even have, they run Showtime through Hulu. So
Oh,
Showtime
really?
doesn't have their own streaming service. They run their shows through Hulu, and it's like an upgrade. So you can do like $10 a month for Hulu, and then $15 if you want Showtime.
Oh, gotcha.
But Homeland, a quick synopsis of the show is a story of a soldier that was held captive in the Middle East, comes back and they try to determine whether he was an agent for the terrorist organization
gotcha.
that held him as a
Yeah, I
captive.
have no idea what the show is about. So.
Yeah. And it plays into the current event type Middle East conflict, and that's something I really am interested in. And anything to do with whether it's ISIS or Al Qaeda or anything, because they don't mention specific
Yeah,
like terrorist organization names,
Probably
but they
shouldn't.
but they have realistic locations, like they're in the Middle East and stuff, and it has to do with more. And you can kind of see a theme, and it won't be really a theme for my 2 and 1, but with my 5, 4, and 3, you can definitely see a theme where it has to do with these stealth shows and covert
And
operations
war
and stuff.
in general,
yeah, and I wouldn't say war, but definitely like conflict.
Right. Yeah. Well, I just meant because like Cold War, Middle East War, and then political warfare.
Yeah.
Essentially.
No, that's true. You're right. So it's definitely this type of conflict and
Yeah. Conflict.
seeing
Yeah.
seeing the behind the scenes and seeing stuff and learning about stuff, and all these shows, the Americans, I don't know how much the Americans, but House of Cards and Homeland, they be as real as possible. So
Right.
it's like with these situations, this is
Right.
how people behind the
'Cause-
scenes would conduct themselves.
And we see videos of bullets and troops and helicopters, but we don't see discussions.
yeah, exactly.
And in all reality, that's what
where
matters.
where
That's
wars are
where-
won.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I forget. Well, I forget what the saying was. The official phrase. I forget who said it even too. But they said, "War is not won on the front lines. It's won like
Yeah.
at the discussion table or
Right.
behind the scenes with
Even
people that are not actually fighting the wars."
even movies where they talk about like battle plans.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a huge part.
Yeah.
Your generals, I mean, they don't make their money fighting the wars. They make it by executing them very, very well.
yeah.
So
And it just dives in super deep to conflicts that.
and it's modern.
Yeah, exactly. Super modern with Middle Eastern conflict and how the CIA conducts their operations and how all the details that go into it.
In a war that's not over yet.
Exactly. Which topic for another day, but which may never ever be over.
Right.
And to see, and obviously they link, like have personal stories behind each character, and it's definitely well done, still going, and definitely one of those shows that I've been watched like 6 episodes a day. So what's your number 3?
Great show, by the way.
Well, thanks.
I've heard great things
Thanks.
about it, and I've been told to watch it. Okay, number 3, recent show,
Recent, okay.
Netflix original.
Okay.
This, I mean, there's only one season, which breaks my heart.
Wow.
But
One
This-
season so far,
yeah,
or is it's still going,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
not canceled.
It could shoot up to number 1. That's how much I
Ooh.
adore
Ooh.
this show.
Okay. I literally have no idea what this is.
Stranger Things.
Oh yes, that was a great show.
Stranger Things.
That's
okay.
that's gonna be
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those ones where
Honorable
there's only
mentions for
one.
sure.
It's one of those ones. There's only one season, so it's when you're.
And
thinking
they've already
about-
confirmed season 2.
Yeah. Well, it comes out in October,
Right.
right around Halloween, and I mean, we're talking about like your interests in what you like to watch. I don't know if I would say I have an interest in like sci-fi stuff in general, but
But it's almost like your like it itches that horror.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I definitely like, I definitely like a darker show like we were talking about. But when a show can get kid actors that are good,
Yeah.
I give them so many bonus points
Mhm.
because that is very, very tough feat. And those kids, I mean, I don't want to say they're nuts in a bad way. When I say they're nuts, I mean like they're nuts how good they are
Yeah.
at their job.
And we talk about that all the time, how when you look at it from a big picture like
Mhm.
overview, how nuts acting is in general, to the point where they have to do all these things that you see in all these TV shows and movies
Yeah.
with about 100 people surrounding them,
Yeah,
about
yeah.
40 cameras.
just zoomed in on your face.
Exactly.
And meanwhile, they're growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just trying to be normal kids.
Yeah.
So I mean, if anyone's unfamiliar with the show, basically it's the premise of a boy goes missing and they're trying to find him. And as you go through the show, because I don't want to spoil anything,
And I have
but-
seen this show.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and basically as you go through the show, it dives into the realms of kind of reality versus, I would say, imagination almost. And there's
Supernatural.
yeah,
There we go.
Supernatural.
That was I was trying to think of it in my head.
Yeah. It's kind of a supernatural show where basically this kid goes missing and there's a big conspiracy theory on where he went, and there's a supernatural element to it. That's
Mhm.
all I'll say. Just because if someone wants to watch it, just go watch it.
Yeah, we're spoiler free here.
But I got so into that show. My friend Liam my old roommate, shout out to Liam,
Shout out, fan
great
of the
guy.
show.
He got me into it because I saw like the thumbnail and I didn't know what it was, and then he told me, he's like, you need to watch the show. It is
Yeah.
really good. And he had just finished it like the day before. So like, I'll seriously watch it again. I watched it, and 2 weeks later I was watching it all the way through all over again. It is so awesome. I really hope that I don't have to wait like another year. Like there's a huge
For
gap.
the next season.
Yeah, because it got shut down by like 5 different networks as a pilot.
At first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Netflix was like, no, writer.
Come on over here.
Yeah, exactly. So, and great call by Netflix too, in the sense that now they have a budget that's pretty friendly for them, so they can splurge a little bit. But what a marketing ploy by Netflix to say, look at the caliber that we bring, and look at what all these so-called like professionals
Yeah.
are basically passing on.
That
and
intro
we're
theme
taking.
song is dope.
Yeah,
I love that.
and I love retro stuff. I'm a big fan of going back in time. So that time period.
Was it like, it's like 70s and 80s, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, I just like watching a modern version of something old. Same the reason why I like modern video, like remastered video games or remastered movies with better detail, because I'm like, I like the way things were. I just want them in higher quality.
And if you get get that scary factor into a TV show and able to do it well, it's awesome.
And the thing is, it's not a horror show, so I think it makes it spookier because it's not meant to be jump scares and like a possession. I honestly think that show probably freaks people more out than most of the horror shows or movies that they see, because
it's like
just,
movies that unintentionally scare you are more scary.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people that watch it are like, yeah, I didn't really want to watch that by myself at
Yeah.
night. It kind of freaked me out a little bit, and it wasn't. That's
Just
not
that theme song
that's
is
not
a
the
little bit
intention.
scary, and I
Yeah,
think that's why I like it so much.
Oh, great show though.
Great show.
Okay, so now we're at number 2.
Yes.
So,
My number 2 is kind of a little bit, and it's a different direction completely from my previous 3 shows.
Okay.
It's Veep.
mm,
Veep, Julianne Dreyfus,
could see that coming.
still a stone cold fox. I don't even know how old she is, but she is gorgeous and hilarious at what
Yes.
she does. She's a great character in that show, and it's a show on HBO, for those of you who don't know, and it's another politics type show, but completely satirical, and it's so
Every show has been political.
yeah, pretty much. You can see kind of a theme of the shows that I get into.
Yeah.
And my number 1 is probably pretty political in a different way. But, and like I said, they're political, but they come at it from different directions.
Yeah.
But Veep pretty much is a show where Julianne Dreyfus is the current vice president, at least when they start the show, and they just go through common
Whoa, spoilers, dude.
spoilers. Whoa.
Come on.
Well, it's like a comedy-based show. There's nothing really spoiled for
yeah.
you. You just sit back and enjoy the show. But it's another one of those shows where, comparable to maybe only Family Guy, where every single episode, no matter what episode it is, no matter what
Makes you
season
laugh.
it is, makes me just shit my pants laughing so hard. It's put me in
You
tears
must
numerous
have a lot
times.
of underwear, dude.
Yeah, dude, just underwear for days. Every character on that show, and that's another thing, especially when it distinguishes between other shows because you always have those shows where certain characters you just like not get into.
Yeah.
Veep is one of those shows where
Yeah, that's a really good point.
every
yeah.
single character has their own personality, has their own way of doing things, but in their own way is absolutely hilarious.
My favorite shows that I always enjoy are the ones where it's like there's not a single character I don't like, in the sense that I'm like they don't add value to the show.
Yeah.
Because Game of Thrones has a lot of villains that I don't like, and I want them to get axed off, but they provide something to the show.
Yeah, and
So-
one of my favorite jokes, and it's kind of, you don't even have to really know the show, but there's this one dude who's taller than everybody else. His name's Jonah, and they always make fun of him for how tall he is. And one of my favorite jokes, and it's not one of those things where you have to know the context in, but he's walking out of the room, and everybody makes fun of him constantly. If you watch the show The Office, or the Family Guy is the show I'm thinking of, where they always make fun of Meg. Jonah is the Meg. Of the Veep. And
Or Jerry of Parks and Rec.
Yeah, or Jets. That's another great
Jerry,
example.
Larry, Gary.
Yeah. He gets on the phone and he's walking out of the room, and it's this super tall door that no one would ever hit their head on. And he's walking out of the door, and Mike just says, "Watch your head." It's so funny. They always make fun of him for his height. But just every character on that show is hilarious, and the show in general is outrageously funny. So Tom, what is your numero dos?
Numero dos, another cartoon.
Another cartoon. All right.
And this one I know that you never got into, but it will forever be probably one of the biggest parts of my childhood, and that is the reigning series of all series, The Simpsons.
I kind of knew because when we were talking about this yesterday, we didn't talk about specific shows. I knew that was going to be in your top
yeah,
two
for sure, without a doubt. I mean,
because that's a show I never got into, but I love Family Guy, and so many people put that in the same
well,
league.
because The Simpsons was obviously first, and everyone ripped on Family Guy for copying.
Yeah, and they rip on themselves.
Yeah, and like, I understand the element of, okay, so you have a family, there's a baby, there's a dog, blah blah blah. But I mean, I don't know, I just feel like you can make that argument for so many shows. It's just the fact that it was a cartoon, they were so close.
The humor in the shows are entirely different.
Yeah, and what people don't remember probably now is The Simpsons at its time was crazy edgy. I mean,
Oh yeah,
they got a lot of flack, and a lot of people were like, wow,
Family
they're-
Guy today is really edgy
Yeah.
with some of the jokes that they do.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is Family Guy to us would seem like the edgier cartoon. Like
Yeah.
people who watch The Simpsons now are like, why is that a big deal?
Yeah,
But so like basically a fourth grader saying "damn it" as a cartoon was
it's outrageous.
yeah, that broke the mold. But man, there's you want to talk about characters. Not only are the main characters great, but all the just like Chief Wiggum.
Well, like
Apu,
Simpsons is just like the
Mo.
pinnacle
Yeah.
of animated TV shows.
Yeah, and it's
There's a
to me,
reason it's survived for
yeah,
this long.
and it's just not mimicable. It's the voices. I mean, the fact that with any cartoon, you have a few people that can do hundreds of different voices and so many different characters and get away with it. But
That's the advantage of animated shows too,
Yeah.
because you can do it for so long because the characters stay the same as long as the voices
they don't
stay
grow
the
old
same.
or anything.
Exactly.
I love that show. I got all the box sets as they came out
Nice.
as a kid because it was just we could watch those for hours on. Me
Yeah.
and my sister every Christmas. That was what we got. We'd get Simpsons and some blankets, and we would smash through those seasons like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And I definitely have not watched every episode because
Simpsons?
there's just no.
That would be quite a commitment.
Yeah, that you want to talk about getting into a show.
Yeah, right.
Get into one that's
Binge
the longest
watch.
ever.
Like 20, what is it, 25 seasons now or some
Yeah,
shit
I
like
couldn't
that?
even tell you. I
It's
know on
outrageous.
FX they do the Every Simpsons Ever marathon. It seems like
Oh, yeah.
it's always going on because it never stops.
Yeah, I'll look it up really quick.
But
28 seasons
Yeah.
so far. And this upcoming season will be 29. That's nuts. I thought 25 was a lot, and
Yeah.
yet I was low.
yeah, and when I said because Top Gear is like in the 20s, but they have like a weird series thing. It's not like actual like seasons.
Yeah.
It's weird. They call them series.
Yeah.
But yeah, Simpsons,
Great show.
super hilarious. Homer is
Yeah,
the
I mean,
number one dad.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most iconic characters on in television history.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Him and Bart.
Yeah, I was gonna say him and Bart. I mean, they all Marge even
The
because of her
Simpsons, like
hair.
just the name.
Yeah.
The Simpsons.
the intro
carries
the
so much
everything,
iconic
even
value.
like I remember watching
Boop, boop, ba-doo.
the behind the scenes where they have the catchphrases they do, and those weren't even meant to be catchphrases.
Yeah.
But
Somehow they just create them.
somehow.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Before we get to number one.
yes, and honorable mentions we'll kind of run through quickly because we are almost an hour and 40 minutes, our longest episode yet.
Yeah, but whatever.
But it doesn't matter.
Do it
We're
live.
here talking.
Do it live.
Do it live. So I'll just list off. We'll just kind of list off our honorable mentions. My honorable mention number one, and I'll do the one that I was debating between this and The Americans, is Sons of Anarchy. Great
Nice.
show. Breaking Bad.
That was on mine as well.
And Family Guy. And Family Guy, it's almost like Game of Thrones in a sense for me because I wanted to focus more on shows that
You
build
really
on
get
each other.
into-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that people more get into and interested how the show is.
Yeah.
Family Guy, you just sit down and laugh your ass off.
Yeah, I just take Family Guy at face value. I laugh my ass off, but it's like something to watch while you're eating. Or
Yeah,
just, like,
exactly.
messing around. I don't know.
Worth mentioning, but not in my
Yeah.
top five.
Yep.
And my other two were The Office and Parks and Rec.
Ooh,
And
I had both
and
of
Archer.
those.
Archer too.
I had
as well.
that one as well. So my honorables were Parks and Rec. Hilarious show.
Yes.
I had True Detective season 1 though.
That is one I forgot. It's just season one. True Detective
Just
season one was
because
awesome.
Season 2 sucked. Season 1 was one of my favorite shows ever. I think if it had another one, I'd put it in my top 5.
Yeah, season 2 was just. I mean, Rachel McAdams was awesome.
What happened in
But
season 2? Can
it's-
anyone tell me what's
yeah.
going on in season 2?
Vince Vaughn
Is it still
not
going?
throwing dodgeballs, pretty much.
I don't understand. I had The Office as well.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's another show like The Office up until Steve Carell leaves. And
Yeah.
then I liked Robert California, and you didn't
yeah,
like
I
Robert
didn't.
California.
A lot of people did though. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a reason why he stayed.
Mhm.
Like a lot of
and
people.
why Will Ferrell did not.
Yeah, Will Ferrell. I mean, everyone thought he was gonna be great. It it wasn't his role.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, but
Probably the producer's fault more than his.
yeah, I mean, you just without Steve Carell, the show just loses so much.
Yeah.
But great show anyway.
So your last honorable mention?
I had Archer as well.
Nice.
Always Sunny.
Nice. Classic.
Yeah. Scrubs.
Really?
Which,
You and Ian, shout out,
yeah.
would agree on that because he
And-
got
and-
all the Scrub box sets.
And shout out to Connor Garland because we all and Adam got super into Scrubs as well. Scrubs is one of the most underrated shows of all time.
I never got into
that
it.
show is
And I didn't even.
so
I gave it a
freaking
chance.
funny. And I will say that is one show that I actually think aged very well
Mhm.
until the very, very end. But
Like the last season.
last couple, and then like the very, very last season because they stopped and then came back. But that season sucked. But like the first season's funny, but like I think it's like season 5, 6, 7 were still good, and then after that they got a new cast. And
Mm.
it wasn't Aziz Ansari was in it.
Oh,
but
really?
he wasn't that great.
Nice.
But yeah, Scrubs, fantastic show. I had Breaking Bad as well, and my last one, which is one that I will stand probably in a very small cult, is the first 3 seasons of Weeds, which was on Showtime.
Ian and his wife Mackenzie, shout out, would also agree with you on that one as well. They got super into Weeds.
Dude,
I tried,
Weeds-
and it was definitely funny at times, but it wasn't
Oh,
a show
man.
that I could keep watching.
Weeds is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my
I've heard
gosh.
nothing but great things
But
about it.
again, it was a show where there was basically the main character gets a brother-in-law who's like the comedic person in all of it.
Mhm.
But there's a point that something happens in the series where everything that you knew about the show no longer is the case, and they change scenery. And the second that happens, like I still watched it all the way through, but after that it just got too crazy.
Yeah.
But, oh man. And again, Weeds is just about a mom who drug deals in like white suburban America. And
Mhm.
man, that's a great show.
Yeah.
Fantastic show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, numero uno.
The final drum roll, number 1.
Mr. Robot.
Ooh, yeah.
Only
Which
2 seasons
I have
in.
not seen.
The upcoming season, I think they just released a promo picture which looks dope. I think the next season is either coming in the next 2 weeks or like mid-August, I believe. But Mr. Robot, and it was just 2 seasons in, just came in or came on as the show 2 years ago, and it has to do with kind of because the main story is the main character is a hacker, and then they
Mhm.
go through, they try to take down this.
And you have no interest in that at all.
No, not at all.
Nope.
No hacking into mainframes, no computer programming, none at all.
Yeah, whenever someone's programming, I automatically default to "Are you hacking into the mainframe?"
Hacking
every
into the
single
mainframe.
time.
That,
Even
that's
if it's
the-
just like being on a computer, I'll be like, "Oh, did you hack in the mainframe?"
That's the standard verb. It links back to politics kind of because they dive into the problems of society and kind of like this big brother overlord type thing. And the big idea is that whether you think there's a president or executive branch, that type of stuff that runs it, there's this group of people that are just like the wealthiest people in the world that actually run things. So in the current day and age in today's society, some might refer to it as the deep state. If you don't know about that, that's
Whoa.
kind of the thing that they would refer to in today's society.
Okay.
But it's kind of this idea that they take down this major corporation which has responsibility of like 99% of the debt in the world. So their eventual goal is to take down, and they really dive into the background and the details of like each process that they do, and then there's like the psychological thriller that has to go along with it.
Mhm.
And not to mention, as we've said before, it's especially with this latest season, it is very, very dark. It is a very dark show, and it really deals with, and like I said, the psychological thing I really think has the most to do with it, especially because there's multiple times in that show where something will happen and they'll unveil something to you and you'll be like, whoa,
yeah.
how the fuck did I not notice that? Or how
Right.
the hell were they doing this the entire time right underneath my nose and I had no idea? And plus Joey Badass is in it, which is awesome because he's not just like a stand there character like Ed Sheeran was. Shout out. Brand new addition to the collection.
Joey B.
Probably my favorite album of 2017 thus far. Side note. But he was a great character. He had tons of lines. He was saying all sorts of stuff. He was this complex character that had to deal with Elliot, who is the main character. He had to, he was a main part of his kind of like psychological conflicts that he was going through. And it's definitely a very interesting show.
There's things going on without you knowing that they're
And
going
it's
on.
overcome, and like we said in Game of Thrones in the beginning, initially, if I had to make a top 5 with Game of Thrones would probably be my number 2, but still, Mr. Robot is my numero uno.
And I have not seen it.
Great show.
It's
I
on USA,
highly
right?
Yes, USA. One of the only, because I didn't get into Breaking Bad until it was on Netflix, but probably the only cable TV show I've ever gotten into, like
Really?
significantly.
I remember
Because
as
all
a-
the rest are on like HBO, Showtime,
yeah,
that type of stuff.
That makes sense. Because I got pretty into The Walking Dead for the first few seasons.
Yeah.
And then I got
As
out
soon
of
as I
it.
got to the prison, then I was out.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I cut it off. I think I made it out of the prison, and I was like, okay,
I'm good.
I'm kind of over the show.
Yeah, there's just zombies everywhere.
All right, number 1.
Numero.
And I'm just going to put this out there. Connor is going to be pissed because this is a mini series.
Connor G, shout out.
Not a TV show.
Lots of
And
shout outs.
I'm going to tell him to shut up because it was on HBO. And
Shut up.
it's just a TV show. So I don't care that it's quote unquote a mini series because it is the greatest show ever created.
What is it?
And it's not even close.
Not even close.
Yeah, even Game of Thrones is going to push it though.
There's gonna be a lot of you're trying to hold it like
Yeah.
a treat with a dog.
Yeah. Band of Brothers.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And it is
I've never
It
never
is-
watched it.
it is well regarded as the greatest show ever created.
Really?
But a lot of people again take
That and the
argument-
Wire.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the why. They take the argument that it's a miniseries. Band of Brothers is just about basically it's kind of like a documentary in the first couple minutes of each episode where they interview a couple veterans in World War II who describe their war stories. They go into it, and then the episode starts, and it's basically a dramatization of this. I guess I would
Of each
say-
experience.
it's a company, so a company would just be it's basically a paratrooping company that goes in and they go through
Okay.
different stories of what happened during the war. And man, oh man, if you want to talk about emotionally compelling somebody into a story where they know how it ends, but you still are watching it like, oh my god, how does
Yeah.
this show end?
Very suspenseful.
It follows each character really well. So there are main characters, but there kind of isn't because it's not one storyline. It's the whole of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to talk about historically accurate. Did you just hear that? Historically accurate.
Accurate.
Historically.
ACYRATE.
I just did the
Accurate.
DJ, and it's funny because DJ Khaled said accurate, so I always say that as a joke. And I think
No, you
that was just
actually said
I
that,
think
yeah.
It's subconscious. So historically accurate. That show is literally to the T. It's
You think I
what-
should get into it too because of my interest with
Well, and it's
Old
it's
World
free
Wars.
with Amazon Prime,
I'm definitely gonna give it a shot then.
and I watch it.
Especially
one
if
of-
it's your numero uno.
That's the thing is, it's one of those shows that I watch every single year all the way through, and I have to because I need it in my
Yeah.
life. But I remember last year I came home to my apartment, and Connor McGraw, my other old roommate,
Shout out.
shout
Another
out to
fan of the
Connor-
show.
Connor M.
Connor M.
He,
Connor G. Connor M.
He was like studying for his chem finals, pre-med, and I was in the living room with Liam, and we're sitting there, and I was watching. We watched the entire series together in basically 2 days, and he would like walk through the kitchen, kind of poke his head around, and be like, I might sit down and watch this for a little bit. It'd be like 3 episodes in. He's like, oh my god, I gotta go study.
Oh, wait, I was supposed to be studying this whole time.
3 hours watching it. It'll suck you in. It's acting's flawless, scenery flawless, plot flawless. Literally everything is perfect except for the fact that it's only 1 season.
There you go. So a mini series.
So it's a
So technically, I wouldn't even call it a TV show.
yeah, that's you know what? Now that you say that, I totally agree.
Totally agree. So there you have it, everybody. There are top 5 television shows of all time. If you
And
want
they
to
were
let
all
us,
different, which
yes,
is cool.
all of it different, which was dope. That's why we took
Yeah.
out Game of Thrones. It was definitely a good executive decision by
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So if you want to let us know your top 5, let us know in the comment section below, and we might even
Where?
go over them
Where can they do
on
that?
youtube.com/TJENT. You can let us know in the comments below, and we might even go over them really quick.
Yeah.
And just
If
say,
there's
this
ones
is-
that we missed that I'm blown, I will definitely.
Yeah, if you put your top 5 in the comment section below, we will read it off in the next episode,
Dope.
right before we start our topics.
Dope.
So there you have it, everybody. There is our longest episode to date. It is now 1 hour and 51 minutes. Just do nothing but keeping it real and
Chit-chatting.
discussing about the most baller-ass topics
Yep.
in the game.
Yep.
There are 4 topics for Real Talk with Tom and Joey, episode 3. This has been Real Talk with Tom and Joey each and every week. Tom and I both bring 2 random topics of discussion to the table to discuss for your entertainment, while most importantly, keeping it real. If you enjoy what we do, you can head over to patreon.com/TJENT, where you can throw us a few bucks of support and get the show early on Monday instead of Friday, and get some other sick-ass rewards along with it, including suggesting a topic for us to discuss. If you don't have any bucks to throw, it's all good in the hood. You can tune in every single weekday at noon Eastern Standard Time here on, once again, youtube.com/TJENT. And if you don't want to watch videos, that's cool.
No big deal.
We understand.
Don't watch.
Search
Don't
us
look
on
at
iTunes, Real Talk with Tom and Joey, or any combination of those words, and you should be able to see that logo.
Figure it out.
Hit-
Smash. Subscribe, because that's the thing on YouTube is
Yeah, you got to
don't
smash that like button.
Smash that like button. You know what? Punch that like button in the face.
Punch your phone and hit that subscribe button.
Break your phone
Yeah.
in that video.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give us a review.
Set the
would-
subscribe button on fire.
Fire.
Yes.
Super hot. Give us a review. Hit us a subscribe. It would really, really help us out. Get us into a lot more ears and orifices. And we're always pro orifice.
We are pro orifice.
And it would just really help us out. And the more you help us out, the more we'll be able to help you out, because we'll be able to give you more baller-ass content.
Truth.
So if you don't know,
Now you know.
now you know. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for episode number 3 of Real Talk with Tom and Joey, and we will see you next time.
See you guys.
Peace.